Last week on the road, Tara, Maddie, Eliza, and I narrowly escaped our backcountry Oregon camp after getting snowed in by a surprise blizzard. Little did we know, this seemingly successful escape was only the beginning of one of our toughest weeks on the road yet. Freezing temperatures brought down all of our major systems, power, heat, and water, leaving us in desperate need of help and repairs. What felt like the end of a successful week was really only the beginning of one of the toughest weeks on the road yet. But speaking of all these projects, let's take a look at what I actually have to get done in the next couple of days. Replacing my water pump and the strainer. Installing a battery monitor. This is just the tool, but crimping all of my wires for a battery-to-battery charger. Installing a secondary fuse block and a 100 amp breaker so that way I can run heating pads to my battery and my water pump. And last but not least, reapplying some dielectric grease to my propane tank sensor so that way I know how much propane I have. Now all of that obviously doesn't even include taking apart my cabinets, refinishing everything, making sure things look as good as they did when I first installed them, removing my water tank most likely. There's a lot that has to get done, and so I'm gonna go ahead and get started right now because unfortunately it looks like there's a storm coming. Okay, so this is what we're working with. It's a pretty tight space. Water tank, obviously here. My water pump is behind here, literally right here. This is all one piece, and so what I'm gonna try to do is actually deconstruct these bars here so I can pull this front piece, which should allow me to lay on the ground and get underneath enough to hopefully disconnect my pump without having to take this whole cabinet face down, but we'll see. And then on this side, this is where my battery lives. This piece is actually already loose because I pulled it the other day. And what I'm gonna do first, just because I wanna keep things simple, my battery monitor is gonna go here. And so I'm gonna mark out where I want the battery monitor, which is currently just sitting in this cabinet. It's not the most important thing by a long shot, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little bit nervous about all of this. I really don't want to pull my water pump even though I know it's inevitable, so I'm just procrastinating. But let's get this battery monitor installed first. Well, naturally, as soon as I get one thing done, the storm rolls in. So Tara is now up there, as you guys can see in the corner, and I have a little bit less space to work in. But that said, I don't think it's gonna make it that much more difficult since everything I'm doing is down here, as long as she stays up there. But I think, as much as I don't want to, I'm gonna tackle my water pump next. Come on. Come on. Oh God. Yes. Oh my God. That literally took like an hour. Yes. Should have expected that. An hour's worth of work just to remove this. Just to remove it. I haven't even done anything yet. I just had to get it out. And I cannot believe I just removed this without damaging the pecs. I could have gone to the store obviously, but I'm already at camp and I really wanted to have water tonight. Man. And I think I might.
our way up to the tree line when the cloud fell down and covered us in white, and the world below was like a rolling sea, so we watched from the tallest peak.
Okay, well, I wish I had a better way to show this when I'm actually installing it, but because it's so dark in this little corner and there's no space for my camera, I really can't. But everything is now replaced. This is the new water pump. I also put a new strainer on just because I figured it wouldn't hurt. It's not going to be often that I'm back there anyways, so putting a fresh one on, they're like 20 bucks. This was the time to do it. This is actually where the pump sucks in the water, so I have a flexible just braided hose that clamps onto this. That is still in place, thankfully. So what I'm going to do first is go ahead and connect these electrical wires while they're still as long as possible. Positive and a negative here, those are still in place down there. Those are going to get hooked up. Then I'm going to push on this shark bite fitting, which I am so grateful that I did not destroy in taking it off, because that would have made this whole thing so much more difficult. Then from there, I'm going to attach just with 4 screws. I don't know if you guys can see, just screws back on here onto the wall. And then finally, I will reattach this braided hose. Okay, it is just after 11 o'clock. Today I'm going to be installing the heat mats, the breaker and the distribution block for that, the DC to DC charger, and finishing up all of my plumbing, making sure that there's still no leaks. I think we can get it all done, but in order to do that, we got to get started. So let's get going. Okay, so now that I've made up about 1 million connections, and unfortunately I'm still not done making them, I have to do the part that I've really not been looking forward to this whole time. And that is drilling a hole through the bottom of this, which is above my fridge, running a wire back behind the fridge, not gonna be fun, and then running it down across the ground. The fuse block is gonna live here on the back of this wall, and then I have an exit over there on the fiberglass that's gonna run to the front of the truck for the DC to DC. I literally can't believe I just grabbed the wire on the first try. This might go so much faster than I thought. Okay, all the wire is officially run, and I am sweaty. But that was, in theory, the hard part, and so now I just need to put the bulkhead piece back in front of the water tank here, so that way I can mount all of the components, and then once those are mounted, I can get ready to hook them up. I can run the DC charging wires, oh my gosh, I'm so sweaty, out into the front by the battery, and hopefully I have enough wire. I don't know if I do, honestly. It looks like I might be short. Well, the look on Tara's face says it all. I was literally 5 feet from finishing, and I ran out of 6-gauge wire to get to the truck's battery. But the good part is all of the hard work is done. I am sweaty, I am pretty tired from today, and now tomorrow all I'm gonna have to do is go grab a little bit more of that 6-gauge wire. I have the tools, I have the lugs, I know how to connect it and hook it up there before flipping on the breaker in here. So I'm just gonna finish picking up here, and I'll see you guys at camp.
visceral organs, metabolic organs and tissues, the pancreas in particular, and impairing the capacity of the beta cells to produce and secrete insulin.
So we've admittedly gotten a slow start to the morning, but as you guys can probably see, it is sunny out, which is such good news because it means that today, not only am I gonna be able to hook up my power outside without getting completely wiped out in the rain, but also hopefully we're able to pull in some power from solar and really get these batteries charged back up. Last night, I dropped down to 20% just because I was charging my phone, charging you guys, and my fridge kicked on a couple of times because it was actually pretty warm last night, which was great for the battery, but not so great for power. So today, we are finally, once and for all, fingers crossed, going to get this sorted. We're gonna have power thanks to the folks over at Bend Battery. If you guys are ever in this area, I cannot recommend them enough. Whether you have questions and need a consult, or you need to buy wire or spare parts, they've literally had everything that I've needed and have been just immensely helpful. So we're headed there now, and hopefully by lunchtime, we will be completely done and back on the road. All right, battery's all hooked up. There's the positive, here's the negative. So now all that's left to do is go inside and flip the breaker. Sorry it's loud out here. And also sorry it's a disaster in here. I'm so ready to be done, like building, redoing all of this. I'm just gonna set you guys down. Okay, so this is the cabinet where all the work was done yesterday, and all I should have to do is flip this. And in theory, that should now have power. But look at how quickly my battery is charging. That is actually insane. Well, my biggest fears have been calmed, because there's no sparks. Everything says that it's charging up like it should be, and honestly those kind of erratic amperage readings I'm not too concerned about at this point, mainly because I have everything on a fuse or a breaker, so if something were to surge it will trip it. There won't be any fire hazard in theory. And also the battery monitor really is the only smart component that I have, and so it doesn't communicate perfectly with the older, not smart systems. They have to be hardwired in, they don't just talk to each other. So I'm gonna chalk that up to it just being the smartest thing and having a hard time understanding where all the power is coming from. But all that said, I'm gonna clean up here. We are all done with all of the fixes, I think, but the true test is gonna be driving to camp and seeing how much power we get when we're actually driving at speed for about 40 minutes. So I'm gonna pack up here, go say thank you to the guys, and get on our way. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few weeks ago I was mentioning how there were larches up here and that I would be back, but they weren't ready yet. I'm so glad we came up here because they finally have turned and it is gorgeous. I am always grateful for Tara, but my goodness, on days like today that have just been boring and indoors, I am so grateful, so grateful that she just goes with the flow. Like, no matter what we have going on, I truly could not have asked for a better baby.
I've had some good days, and I've had some worse, but none compared to the days that I've had with you. And I've had some high times, and I've had some cursed, but none compared to the times that I've had with you. I'd take out a loan for just one day alone, to run back the time in slow motion. I'd sell my guitars, I'd spend life behind bars, to take one more trip through the story night. 'Cause this was the best day of my life.
It has been quite the week in van life, road life. Just a week. I lost my power, I lost my heat, I lost water flow, pretty much everything except for my fridge and the ability to charge my phone. And it's been tough. Not in the sense of like, oh, woe me, life is tough. I chose this. I knew the hard that I was choosing, and I still do. But it's unfortunate when all of those things go out all at once, especially when that week also happens to be the week where you at least somewhat set back off on your own again. And so as difficult as this week has been for a lot of reasons, it's also been a really great reminder of all the things that I have to be grateful for. You know, when my power kicked back on for the first time, when my propane line worked and I didn't have to use a jet boil anymore, or when I ran out of parts and I could just go down to Bend Battery and grab the wire and the accessories that I needed because a friend who could consult me was there. It's irreplaceable. And I think a lot of times there's emphasis placed on this type of journey, this travel the world, go out on the road solo, self-discovery journey being solo. And a lot of it is, obviously. If I didn't have myself to rely on in all of these situations, things would have been very different. But it also is a community effort. And I think that's true not just out here on the road, but in any type of lifestyle or community that you're living in. Tonight I'm feeling grateful for this campsite and the solitude and the peace and quiet out of town. And I'm also reflecting on the week and realizing how much I could not have done without the people around me, the people in my community, and this place that has been my home now for the last few months. Well, friends, if I'm being completely honest, as I prepare to sit down with all of this footage, I don't even know what this video is going to look like. Of course, Sarah chooses right now to go ham on her bone. Sorry about that. I normally come into a week having some sense for what I'll be doing, whether it's locations that I want to go to, activities I want to take you all along with, or people I want you to meet. There's usually something in my mind about what it's going to look like, but this week, with all of the broken items in here, all of the systems that failed, it was really hard to do that. And if I'm being honest, I almost didn't make this video because of it. But that felt silly and ingenuine, because this is the reality of life out here sometimes. Sometimes you really don't have power, water, heat, or any of your systems for that matter running, and it really does change how your week looks. And as a result of that, last night and today are the first days that I'm really getting back out into the forest since last week when we were in the snow. All of that said, my fingers are crossed that these new systems stay in place. I'll still be around, most likely Oregon and Washington, for the next few weeks, maybe visiting some family for the holidays before heading south for winter, but not in the way that you're probably thinking. More on that later, because nothing is quite set in stone yet, but I will be in a white and snowy place for at least much of winter, which I can't wait to take you guys all along for. So on that note, I am going to drink my coffee and enjoy this space that we are now in for hopefully the next few days. I'm gonna sit down with this video and hopefully put something that makes sense together, and I'll see you all when it's published on Sunday. I hope you've all had a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Maddie Taylor is really out here in front wheel drive in over a foot of snow, making all of us 4x4 owners look like pansies, is all I have to say. What do you think about all this? No thoughts? Just vibes? Yeah. Throw up a little bit, or you burp? What happened, Eliza?
Love that audio is gonna be in my video.
You got all my love. You got all